I'm recording. Okay. This is a book roundup video where I talk about books I've read lately that I'm not going to like make a whole video about probably. But usually I go in order of reading, like first to most recent, except I will be titling this video New Favorite Book or something. So I have to talk about that first, which is this. Look at it. Look at her. So this is called Glorious Exploits, a novel by Ferdia Lennon. And holy shit, this came out last year. I can't believe no one has recommended this to me yet. I saw this in a bookstore, picked it up because that's hilarious, and read the back. Here, you ready? On the island of Sicily amid the Peloponnesian War, the Syracusans have herded the Athenian invaders into a quarry and left them to rot. Enter Lampo and Gellin, two out-of-work potters with a soft spot for poetry and drink. Armed with nothing but a few blocks of cheese and too much free time, they head down to the quarry, offering to feed any Athenian who can recite a few lines from their great playwright Euripides. Euripides, though. Before long, their ambition grows into something far grander, to direct a full-blown production of Medea, a decision that will test their courage and loyalties in ways that they never could have imagined. How has no one recommended this to me? Earlier this year, I read like 9 different versions of Medea, and I loved it. And what? This was so good. I think you can tell... Oh, no spoilers in this video. Sorry. No spoilers. I think you can tell from the back, though, that this is going to be a romp. A Rosencrantz and Guildenstern style backdrop of the Peloponnesian War, and it is, and it's wonderful, but it's also incredibly dramatic and sad and also hilarious. This was so good. I can't believe that this is a debut. This is this guy's first book, and like he's already won me over. Like everything this guy writes, I will be pre-ordering it, but it was so good. And I don't want to say too much about it because if it sounds like your jam at all, you should check it out. But like there were so many moments in this book that made me wish someone had read it and I could talk to them about it. Like just these little things that would happen that the thing is like someone who was less skilled would have attempted to do this and it would have ended up 1,000 pages, you know? And there were so many little moments in this book that just said so much. It was so good. It talked about like war and art and like where you're loyal to and how that can change. And oh, it was so good. It was so good. I loved this book so much. Read this book. Oh my God. I feel like I often am harsher towards newer books. So it's really rare for me to find something that I read and I'm like, holy shit, this is a classic. Like people will be reading this 20 years from now, 40 years from now. This was just, it was so good. I loved this book. That was my favorite book, if that's what you were here for based on the title. Here's the thing. Have you all noticed that long form book content is adopting short form content like tricks to get people watching? There is a style of video where someone holds a book like this and they're like, let me tell you about my new favorite book. Imagine a war. Imagine two friends. And it's like, how are you going 90 seconds without showing me the book? And I know the reason they're doing this is because you're just going to be like, well, show me what's the book. What's the book? And if you watch for 90 seconds, they get like the short read or whatever, the ad, whatever. But it's just like, I'm an adult. That doesn't work on me. That just pisses me off. Scroll right by, block. Like what are we doing this? What are we doing with the book thumbnails? Look at all these books. Like, no, show me the books. Show me the stack of books you're going to talk about. This is the stack of books I'm going to talk about. That's not a thumbnail. I'm not going to put that in the thumbnail. I think the thumbnail is this, the standout. Ooh, what if it's like, this is the thumbnail. This is the standout book. All right. If you read one book recommended by me from this video, damn, holy shit. Should I do, I wish I had a book club. I really do. I wish I had a book club with like 10 girls. We would actually read the book and then we would actually talk about the book. This was so good. Now it's just the usual video. Okay. I read Lost Cat by Mary Gaitskill. She's from Lexington, Kentucky. That's cool. So last year I read This Is Pleasure by Mary Gaitskill, and it was a novel about a guy who gets Me Too'd, but it focused on the female friend of the guy who like saw the behaviors and knew it was weird, but like didn't think too much about it. And then she kind of wrestles with like, well, what do I do with this information? And I'm not sure I liked it. I'm not sure I liked how it was handled, but I found it just very interesting. So I just kind of earmarked her as someone I would be more interested in. And I saw Lost Cat. So this is this is not a novel. This is about a lost cat. This is the cat. So she's in Europe, Italy, I think, and she finds this cat, and she convinces her husband, like, we got to save this cat. And they bring it home, and then the cat gets lost. But it's not really about the cat. Interspersed in the stories of the cat, Mary Gaitskill is remembering these children that her and her husband had fostered. And it talks a lot about like the struggle of fostering and how, like, going in that these will not become your children. You just do the best for them while you can do the best for them. And it's still so hard. And I thought it was a really interesting exploration, and I really liked it. And I thought it was really good. What's weird is that I think the video, not a person I know, who recommended this was like, if you know but anybody with pets, and I didn't get that much about pets. Like it wasn't really about the cat. It seems like the cat was just bringing up all these other bubbling emotions about grief. But it was really good. Big recommend. All right, next I read The Most by Jessica Anthony, and should this be called The Moist? Has anyone made that joke before? Is this like a popular book talk book or something? Because this is everywhere at bookstores. It does have a lovely cover. Let me read the back to you. It is an unreasonably warm Sunday in November in 1957. Kathleen, a college tennis champion turned Delaware housewife, decides not to join her handsome husband Virgil and their 2 young boys at church. Instead, she takes a dip in the swimming pool of her family's apartment complex, and then she won't come out. Set over the course of 8 hours, The Most breaches the shimmering surface of a seemingly idyllic marriage, immersing us in the unspoken truth beneath. I hated this book. This book, like, I read the back and I was like, oh, a woman won't come out of a pool. That's very interesting. And I thought, oh, we'll explore like gender roles in 1957. Like maybe the woman feels trapped. Maybe the man feels like this overwhelming sense of responsibility and like that's causing... No, it's just 2 horrible people. 2 horrible people that stay together. And I did read a wonderful comment on Goodreads about this book that said that the author attempted to use a short story ending after making us like suffer through a novel-length book. And I thought that really describes what's going on here. Like a really successful short story is like incredibly hard to make, right? You have so few pages to create characters and their voices and like what's happening, and not a lot of stuff has to happen. And also, you can end it with like a hard cut because it's a short story. You're only seeing a little vignette of what these people's lives are like, right? But I had to read 200 pages of this. And then you give me a short story ending? Like, you did not earn that, ma'am. But I can't... This says National Book Award long list. I can't believe that, because this book also, I don't think this is the fault of the author, but this book felt really unedited. Like if there was an editor, they did a great disservice to this author, because there were many moments in this book where like the husband would be on the phone and we would learn a piece of information, right? And then 15 pages later, that information would again be revealed to the audience who have already read it, and also the wife who knows it because she's lived that experience. And it was really strange, because like I would go back and read it and be like, we already know this. Like, not only do I know this, but the wife, the character in the book, already knows this. Like, who is this reveal for? It was really confusing. I think it could have been better with an edit, but I don't think that there was anything there. That's so mean. Anyway, I am going to get rid of this. I'm going to donate this. Well, no. So I moved to Ohio, and as a huge thrifter, going from Massachusetts, Boston, where there were so many good thrift stores, to here, like they just don't have it. And I worry if I donate books to Goodwill, they will get thrown away because there's no books in the Goodwill. And so I don't want this to get thrown away because like maybe someone would like it. So I'm going to resell it like to half price books because they have these here. And I'll buy a new book with the book funds. But I think someone could get some use out of it. It's a really pretty book. I feel like that statement makes it seem like people in Ohio don't read, but that is not what I'm trying to say. Like, Ohio is a very populous state. There are tons of people here and tons of universities here. Like, of course, people are reading. I think it's the thrifting culture that's different. Like, the Goodwills here are utter trash, whereas in Massachusetts, it's full of good stuff, like quality things. And I think here it's just more, what are those called? It's not an antique store, but it's like a flea market, where individual people will like rent a booth and they'll put all their stuff in, and like you have to dig through it, but there are often books there. They're just more expensive. They're like $7 or $8 versus like the $3 at a thrift store. But I don't want this to get thrown away, so I will sell it to Half Price Books instead. Okay, next I read The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. Let me just read you a little bit of the inside. Carrying out more than 200 brazen heists over 10 years in museums and churches across Europe, Reitweiser, along with his girlfriend who served as lookout, stole more than 300 artworks worth an estimated $2 billion in total before the unprecedented crime spree fell apart in a spectacular fashion. So this is like an investigative journalism, like telling of a true story. And I did not like it. I felt like this book was a scam. And when I say that, I don't think that this author, he's a journalist. I don't think he is not telling the truth. I think he went into this project with a way he wanted to portray this person. And even though the facts of the situation made that seem weird, he did it anyway. Does that make any sense? Like, this whole book is like this guy, he's a young ingenue. He's practically a Medici, like an art patron. Like, he just loves art so much he hates to see it locked up. And then you get to the part where they're interviewing this guy and he's just some fucking loser. He's just like one of those losers. The art thief is just like one of those losers who's like, I could have been somebody. I could have been famous. I could have been an art dealer. But like, really, he never worked toward that goal. He never did anything. And instead he just stole shit, right? But the author of the book makes the case that like, no. This guy loves art. And it's like, really? Then why is he such a fucking idiot? Really? Why is he stealing the easy things to steal instead of the good art if really he's just after what he likes, you know? Also at the end, the guy destroys a bunch of stuff because he's trying to get away with a crime. Like, I felt like this was such a scam. Like, it was just presented as like, this guy is just like a historian of art. He just loves it. He protects it so much when he steals it. And it's like, well, no, he's like shoving it into bags, rolling it down his pants. It's disappeared, a lot of it now. Like, I felt like this book was a scam and I didn't like it. I did like the writing style though. I thought it was a captivating story until I was like, wait, I don't agree with how this guy's being portrayed. And at that point I felt like it was a scam. But I would read another by him, going in the donate pile. Next I read Patient by Anna Maria Shua. Ooh, Shua? How would you say that? And it's translated by David William Foster. So this is an Argentinian book. Let me read a little of the back. Patient is the humorous tale of a man lost in the bureaucratic workings of a state hospital. Expecting only a brief stay for minor testing, he soon realizes that leaving will not be an easy task. Yikes. So this is obviously like a Kafka situation, like the absurdity of bureaucracy and like a normal person stumbling through it. But this is set in the healthcare system, in a place where the vast majority of people, anybody who's not like a nurse or a medical doctor, is already feeling lost and confused and like a little bit worried about what's happening because they don't know. And I felt so anxious reading this. Like, it was funny and you could see all the absurd things that were happening. It was very good, but I felt like this was a horror book. Like, he was in line for surgery and he was like, but I'm not here to receive surgery. I'm just getting some tests done. And the nurses were just like, yeah, okay, well, if you want to cancel the surgery, you have to talk to the director. And he would go try to find the director and the director would be like, oh, no, I'm the interim director. You'll have to wait. And it was so nerve-wracking. This was great. I bought this at a thrift store not knowing anything about it because I was trying to like get more like reading around the world just for fun. I'm not like making a video about it or anything. And this was my first Argentina. It was fantastic. It was really good. So next, this book, my friend who is a professional, like a PhD statistician, was like, they wrote a book about statisticians. And so I bought it without learning anything about it. And it showed up. And look at the beautiful cover. It's so colorful. This is Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. Let me read some of it. 4 years ago, an unthinkable disaster occurred. In what is later known as the low probability event, 8 million people were killed in a single day, all of them dying in improbable, bizarre ways, strangled by balloon ropes, torn apart by exploding manhole covers, attacked by a chimpanzee wielding a typewriter. A day of freak accidents that proved anything is possible no matter the odds. Luck is real now, and it's not always good. This was really fun, and I enjoyed it. It was a really quick read. The thing about this book, I think I've talked about it on this channel before, is that it's got the Twilight Zone problem, which is sometimes you read the synopsis of a Twilight Zone episode, you imagine what it's going to be, and sometimes you imagine something that is better or maybe much different than what ends up actually being the episode. And I think this book has the potential to do that. Like, okay, this low probability event happened. That has to go somewhere. That has to have an explanation. There are many ways that could happen. I enjoyed the way this was done. I had a great time reading it. I wouldn't read it again, but I would recommend it to someone. I am going to keep it because I feel like it's a good book. Like, if someone was like, oh, I have 2 hours, what am I going to do? I'd be like, this is a great way to spend your time. This was fun. So, also, like, it's going to be so pretty on my shelf, and I'm a vapid loser. Okay, next I read The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly by Sunmi Hwang. And I've been trying to remember to do the translators. This is translated from Korean by Chi Young Kim. This is about a hen who dreamed she could fly. It's kind of written like a parable, I guess. It's literally about this hen who names herself. She lives on the farm and she's like an egg-laying hen. So she lays the egg and they kind of fall to where the farmer can get them. And she's like, I wish I could keep an egg. And she doesn't realize that like you need a rooster to like have anything in the egg. But then she's put to pasture and she survives. And it's this story of her looking for an egg. And I liked it. It's just, I think because of the political climate we are in right now in this current moment, shit like this reads to me as right-wing trad wife propaganda, where it's like, a woman's only goal, of course, is to have an egg. Wow. And no spoilers to what happens, but I can understand. Okay, I can understand. Obviously, there are so many people that dream of having children, and some of those people, their like life goal is to be a parent, of course. And I think that that's great. I think everyone who wants to have a kid should do that. And I think everyone who doesn't want to should absolutely not be forced to. And I can understand someone who's maybe going through a journey right now where having a child is like not in the cards or not happening on their timeline, and they would find this very comforting. But for me, in the political climate we're in, I'm just like, women can be more than mothers. And even if you are a mother, it's still important that you're a person so that you can show your children what it's like to be a good adult. Like, it can't be your only thing in life. I don't want to offend anybody. I feel like I am reading way too much into this. And I am going to keep it because I think if I read it at a different point in my life, perhaps I would feel differently and maybe under a different political regime. Okay. But I mean, I would recommend if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. I do wonder how this book went over in Korea, because I know Korea has similar-ish, not exactly one-to-one issues with like how women are being treated at the moment. So I do wonder, how did they feel about this? Okay. All right, you're never going to believe what a dumbass I am, but next I read Rosemary's Baby because I had been reading a bunch of Faust and I was like, I need something else. And see, this is the thing. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't remember ever seeing Rosemary's Baby, but I must have. I must have seen it and known that it was a Faust and picked it up because it was a Faust. Rosemary's Baby is written by Ira Levin. Last year I read The Stepford Wives and I loved it. I loved it so much. I made a little video about it and it really just like hit for me. And so I did buy this when I saw it at a thrift store. $3. It's the only thing I really miss about Boston. Like, the people were really nice, but like the thrift stores, man, $3. Dang. But this is about an actor. He's married to Rosemary. He sells his soul to be better at acting, and stuff happens to the baby. And it was a little bit of the same, but also it just didn't hit as much for me. Like, it was fine. And here's where I'm at though. Like, this is a really nice copy of this book, right? I didn't like it. I'm probably not going to read it again. But this is a classic. What if I want to reference it? Do I keep this? And then I think about how sometimes you go into bookstores or you order books online, and when they're classics like this, they end up being print-on-demand garbage. And this is such a high-quality book. Will this ever exist again? Like, I can't get rid of this. I am now the steward of a really nice copy of this book that will last decades versus the print-on-demand garbage. And I'm so sorry, people are so tired of me talking about it. I don't think anyone else cares as much as I do that, like, the books that are being made right now will just disintegrate into trash. I mean, of course, books do that, but... Next, I read Strange Houses by Uketsu, translated by Jim Ryan. And if you've watched this channel, I think I did buy this on this channel. So I get credit card rewards and it gets me a gift card to Barnes. And I just walked through and I was like, oh, I love books about houses. And this was a horror book with floor plans inside of it. How exciting. And someone commented on that video, like, that book sucks, you're going to hate it or something. And tell you what? Yeah, it kind of did. So this is a mystery that is uncovered via floor plans, except this is going to be a weird reference. Have you ever played a Professor Layton game? Like, those are mysteries, right? You're solving a mystery, except you don't really solve anything, right? Like, you're rearranging matches and then Professor Layton is like, oh, of course, and like some completely unrelated clue falls out and you're like, well, I didn't really get that clue. This is like that. Like, it's just like, it's a very unsatisfying, like, reveal after reveal of like thing you never would have guessed. I do imagine that maybe like a 15-year-old girl who's into Japanese horror would get a lot out of this and would like it. So I'm happy to sell it to Half Price Books. For them, I shouldn't have bought this. I should have known better. Oh, I read another Japanese book. So this is No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, and it is translated by Donald Keene. Let me read a little of the back. Portraying himself as a failure, the protagonist narrates a seemingly normal life even while he feels incapable of understanding human beings. Oba Yozo's attempts to reconcile himself to the world around him began in early childhood, continuing through high school where he becomes a clown to mask his alienation and eventually leads to a failed suicide attempt as an adult. Without sentimentality, he records the casual cruelties of life and its fleeting moments of human connection and tenderness. I did not vibe with this book at all. I did not get anything out of it, and I really disliked it a lot. I think for me, there's like cultural context missing. So this is a post-war Japanese book. And the main character is obviously some sort, I can't pretend to diagnose what it is, but like even as a child, he is like masking who he is, ashamed of who he is, and like presenting what he expects people to want. And then he does that throughout life. And it's just this tale of him honestly just abusing a lot of women. And he doesn't ever seem to understand that that's what's happening. And so it's very hard for me to feel any sympathy or empathy with him as he is destroying all these lives and being like, but I'm a little guy. I'm not even a human. Obviously, there was a lot going on in 1950s Japan. I just think I am culturally unaware of it to understand why this is one of the best-selling books in Japan. I did not like it. It's apparently semi-autobiographical where this guy did end his own life and he had similar feelings to this. I would not recommend this. I did not like it. I did not find anything redeemable in it. And I will tell you something really weird. The introduction of this book, the translator's introduction, it's written by this guy, Donald Keene, also in like the late 40s. And the only thing he is telling English readers is like, okay, to get ready for this novel, you need to know that the Japanese... What was that? The guy who did the translation spends the entire introduction explaining how racist, in his opinion, Japanese people are towards other Asians. And it's really weird and completely out of place because this book is a Japanese guy in Japan. Like the race really never comes up. And the guy just spends the introduction being like, imagine there was a literature festival, a world literature festival. Like, obviously you would put like South America, Latin America in a category. You would put North America in a category. You would put England and Ireland and France in a European category. But the Japanese would find it very rude if you did an Asian category and included the Japanese, because the Japanese would prefer to be in the European category. And it was like really weird. Like the translator was like, hey, the only thing you need to know before you go into this book about a psychopath who's going to abuse women and do nothing else, Japanese people think they're better than other Asians. And I just thought it was really weird. I don't know why. I don't know why that's in there. This book obviously wasn't printed in the late 40s, so why is it still in there? I read it twice because I was like, surely there's a piece of information here that's going to be... No, it was really weird. I do not recommend this to anyone. I did not like it. I'm so sorry if you liked it. I'm so proud of myself for finally reading this. I feel like people have been recommending this to me for a long time because, well, let me read the back. Oh, this is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Let me read the back. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls lined with thousands upon thousands of statues. Within the labyrinth of halls, an ocean is imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases. Rooms are flooded in an instant, but Piranesi is not afraid. He understands the tides as he understands the pattern of the labyrinth itself. He lives to explore the house. Fuck yeah, that's right up my alley, right? I love books about houses. I love books where the house is a character. I love it even more when it's a little something weird going on. Obviously, this book is for me, right? But my issue, well, it's a Twilight Zone situation, right? Like, ooh, labyrinth containing an ocean and thousands of statues. What's going to happen? And it's like that could go many ways. And the way it went was just like a big flop for me. I really was invested for about 30%. And then I was just like, oh, okay, this is where this is going. The second part says this. There is one other person in the house, a man called the Other, who visits Piranesi twice a week and asks for help with research into a great and secret knowledge. But as Piranesi explores, evidence emerges of another person, and a terrible truth begins to unravel, revealing a world beyond the one Piranesi has always known. Yeah. I am also going to keep this one just because I feel like this is a good book to recommend to someone who, like me, like stories where houses are people. But I also feel like there is someone out there who would love the way that goes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was hoping it went somewhere and it didn't do that, and I was like disappointed. But like someone, I mean, obviously a lot of people love this book. I think I'm gonna not read another Susanna Clarke. I tried to read, what is that, Strange and Mr. Norrell? Like a decade ago, I want to say. And I tried for like months. I would keep picking it back up and it just wasn't my jam. And so I don't think she's my jam. But it was intriguing. I am glad I read it. It just didn't go where I wanted it to go. Okay. And then I, of course, read Glorious Exploits. I loved this book. It was so good. I have started rereading it. I loved this book. I can't believe how good this was. I think I said I don't watch a lot of movies and I'm trying to catch up on movies. I recently watched Jaws probably 4 or 5 months ago. And when Jaws was over, I was like, that is a movie. That's a good movie. And I finished this book. I was like, that's a book right there. That is a book. So big recommend on Glorious Exploits. I can't believe this is a debut. I can't believe it. So good. I loved this book. Okay. Oh my god, I just noticed the little owl on the back also has the little eyes. That's crazy. I can't believe I picked this book up because of the cover and no one recommended it to me. Just saying, okay, bye.